What's up, everyone? TJ here. Today I'm sitting down with my best friend, Bo Pollard,
What's up, guys?
and we're going to talk about why you should probably go snowboarding in Japan. Let's jump into it. All right, I guess I'll start by just addressing the change of scenery here today. We're actually in Bo's office where he hosts a real estate podcast. If you guys didn't know, Bo and I are both licensed realtors in the state of Colorado, and Bo's kind of a badass realtor, founding partner in Nav Real Estate. And we're taking over the Nav Lab pod today to talk about some snowboarding. And so we're just going to talk about Japan. I guess just want to start off talking about how many times we've been to Japan, where we've been, and then just kind of get into what you can expect, what you might want to bring on a Japan trip, and just give some tips from our experience there.
Yeah, we've kind of become Japan experts, going for 4 times already. We have a 5th trip planned now, and we've been like minimum 20 days each trip. I think one trip I was there for like 36 days total.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time at this point and been able to explore quite a bit. Let's talk about our first trip. First trip was 2018. It was me, Bo, and our buddy Kevin, and we actually went to Hakuba for the first time. So the main snowboard areas in Japan, is at least in North America, where we have the Epic and Icon Pass, is Hakuba on the main island. All the resorts down there, most of the resorts down there on the Epic Pass. I think it's like 7 resorts, maybe 9, all in this valley, very close to each other. And then the Icon Pass resorts are on the North Island in Hokkaido, so we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, there's a bit of a difference in the feel and the vibe between the two areas, I would say. How would you describe Hakuba as far as like the infrastructure?
Yeah, it's it feels a little bit like you're in a time machine. So it's in the province is called Nagano or Nagano. Not really sure the pronunciation, but that's where the Winter Olympics were held in the early 90s, I believe. And it all got super developed during that time. And now when you go there, you kind of feel like you're right back in those Winter Olympics. It's cool. It's like not in a bad way, I guess. I thought it was cool.
I think it's cool too, but it definitely has that more like vintage, like time capsule kind of vibe. So like everything from the buildings to the taxis, the chairlifts. It's just a little bit more old school. Still, very functional, very cool, like authentic Japanese experience, but a little bit different from what you'll find in Hokkaido.
Yeah, that was a fun trip though. I mean, lost my board bag on the way there, so I luckily was able to borrow stuff from you and Kevin for a couple of days. It did end up coming, I think, like 3rd day of the trip. The other thing that we did, we went a little bit later. So if you've heard of snowboarding in Japan, they call it Japanuary because the month of January, it's very consistently snowing like every day. We were there in February that time, so we didn't get a ton of like fresh snow, even though the conditions were really awesome. The terrain was awesome. We had a bunch of park days, I remember, on that trip.
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of first thing to maybe mention here on the pod today is the time of year to go to Japan. So, for the most consistent snowfall, I'd say January or early February, like the first couple weeks of February, are going to be the safest bet. Even December, but then you got to kind of juggle the holidays. And, if they have a late start to the season, it's a little bit more risky. But usually December's pretty good as well, from what I've heard from my friends that live there at least.
Yeah.
And so for that trip, for Hakuba, we got there like late February and left early March.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a little bit later than you want to go. I mean, you could still, probably get some good snow. But for our first trip, we only got like 1 pow day that with like fresh snow, at least. We did find some good snow, like exploring the resorts a little bit.
And that was 2018, right?
That was,
Okay.
That was 2018.
Cool. Yeah, that was my first time, like, I see myself as kind of part of the channel, but when I first got there, I was staying in a different hotel than TJ and Kevin, and I would take a shuttle over to meet them first thing in the morning. And I remember getting on the shuttle and someone go, "Bo?" Like, I'm in Japan. I've been there like 2 days, right? And I'm still like distraught. I'm like time change.
jet
I'm just
lag.
I'm figuring out where I'm going, like whatever.
Yeah,
But
public
I
transit.
got my board, backpack. I'm ready to hit the day, and I get on this bus, and someone's like, "Bo," and I'm like, "What is happening right now?" Like,
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was I think was that the first time you had been recognized from the
first time
channel?
ever. Yeah.
That was cool.
And they're like, "Oh, we follow DJ and Kevin," and I think they were part of that like huge Taiwan,
Yeah.
snow cone. Or
I
something.
remember we were doing Kevin and I were doing a live stream at the base of one of the resorts, I think Hapaone maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bo rolls up and he's got like literally like 20 people with him, and he's like, these guys want to meet you. And then we just do the live. It's probably still online, but we have a live stream with like 20 people.
Yeah, and that
That's
was
cool.
like the first, like, for me, the realization of like the reach and just like being international. Like, you guys, I mean, today obviously you still get recognized all the time in Japan, but like that was like the first time you were ever there and people are recognizing you, which was
It was
pretty crazy.
interesting. Yeah, that was like pretty early on too, so that was a cool moment. But yeah, let's quickly talk a little bit about the terrain in Hakuba versus Niseko. Niseko is like the main area in Hokkaido that you would go to. That's where you have access on the Icon Pass. And I'll just start off by saying, you know, at least from what we heard, most people will say that the terrain in Hakuba is like a little bit steeper, can be a little bit more challenging. You can find, you know, ideally, you know, steeper powders a little bit more fun. And they were kind of talking trash about Niseko a little bit, saying it's too flat. They get too much snow for how flat it is. And I disagree, man. Like, Niseko does have mellow terrain, but there's like a wide variety. There's something for everybody up there.
Yeah, in like Hapaone, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
When you hike up to the peak, it does feel more like, you know, maybe Colorado, right? Like, there's definitely big peaks. There's definitely some gnarly stuff, but like as far as like in the resort goes, or even you know, around the resort, I like Niseko more. It's perfect.
I think so too, man. And I think I would like to give Hakuba another try sometime. And you know, there's other areas down there like Miyoko, some other resorts, and there's like some cool like touristy stuff to go do. Like, there's like a natural hot spring, natural onsen where like monkeys go to that you can go see, and there's some interesting stuff to do there.
I think a lot of people too, like, since it is on the main island, and since like for us going to Niseko, you fly into Tokyo and then you have to fly up to Sapporo, but it is easier just to, so if you want to go to Hakuba, right, you fly into Tokyo and you hop on the bullet train. It takes you to Nagano, and then you hop on a bus. I think there's a train too that you can transfer on, but you just hop on a bus and it takes you right up. So I think like they get a lot of people coming there because of the convenience side of it, of not doing the extra leg of flying.
Yeah, I think that can be a little intimidating to some people, like just getting off a whatever 10-hour flight, and then they're like, oh, I gotta go through customs and get right on another flight. But it's really not that bad.
Not that bad.
It's a mellow travel day.
And Hokkaido, I mean, Hokkaido is just amazing. I mean, that's where we all have headed for the last 3 years, going there for a fourth year.
Yeah.
Haven't even like batted an eye to go back to Hakuba because Niseko is so great. But we did go to Gettokogen last year, and we basically just had some bad luck when we got there. Another board bag was lost. I got delayed a day traveling, but we took a bullet train up from Tokyo there. And super cool resort. I mean, honestly, I would rather go back there than Hakuba. Just that's what I would rather do, because they get apparently more snow than like anywhere in the world. Like
anywhere in
top 5.
Japan. Yeah. I mean, oh man, we just got really unlucky with the timing this last year. We went on the front end of the trip. We had literally 1 day to spend there, so you know, we didn't have any time to wait for a storm to come in, and it had awesome powder, and then it just so happened the day before we got there it rained and everything turned to like chundery, gnarly snow. And then right after we left, it started getting dumped on again, and I think after we left, they got another like 17 meters of snow in the following 2 months.
Yeah, it's called the King of Snow, I think.
Yeah, or King of Powder, or
King
something
of
like
Powder.
that. Yeah, we got to run that back. Kuge-san, Onsen team.
Yep.
Shout out.
They showed
Gettokogen
us
crew.
like the best time, and there was like no one there. It's like it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of a hidden gem. So if you're ever in Japan and you're going, on the main island, go check it out.
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll be going back. So there will be a video on the channel showing our experience with the subpar snow, but we'll hit it. We'll hit it with
the
some power.
snowmobile and like these little like 200cc snowmobiles.
Yeah, like the miniature snowmobiles.
Yeah.
They like served us an amazing meal from like their going to be introducing kind of like a fancy set meal this season, and so we got to experience that. We got to stay. All the accommodation there is like
gold
slope
flakes.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, gold flakes on the Wagyu. It was insane. That was very grateful for the hospitality they showed us there. So yeah, we'll be back. We'll have to document that in proper conditions. But yeah, so depending on what pass you have, if you have the Epic Pass, Hakuba could be a good option. I think that's a big attraction there. Rusutsu on the North Island. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so like Bo said, for the last 3 times we've been in Japan, we've gone to Niseko. And that's where we're going to be going again this season. And we're doing it a little bit different this year, though. We're going to be actually hosting a retreat. So we've got 2 weeks available where, if anyone wants to join us, we're basically just going to set up a full all-inclusive experience. Once you get to the airport in the North Island, it's all taken care of. Transfer to Niseko, accommodation, food, lift tickets. It's going to be 3 hosts, me, Bo, and our good friend Yuji, who's actually the editor for the channel. Shout out Yuji, who's a Niseko local, speaks fluent Japanese. Super clutch to have him on the team up there. And I'm really excited, man. It's going to be one of the coolest things I think we've ever done with the channel, kind of leaning on the summer hood retreats that we've done, which Bo joined us this summer. That's always a good time to get a little summer snowboard fix. But yeah, we're doing 2 weeks. First week is sold out already. We've still got a few spots left for week 2. So if anyone wants to join us, I'll be linked in the description. It'd be awesome to
do it.
Hang out with you guys, get some awesome powder laps in, eat some great food, hit up the onsens, and yeah, and we're just gonna kind of jump into what Niseko has to offer and what that experience is like.
Shout out Yuji first, though. Yuji, so Yuji basically joined Board Archive like a year and a half ago or something.
About a year ago, yeah.
Okay. And Yuji grew up in the States and lives in Japan. Now, I think he's lived there since he was like 18, and has lived in Niseko for the past 4 years, and is not only one of the coolest people ever. He had so last year in Japan was our first year experiencing it with him.
Yeah.
And it was completely different,
Game
so
changer.
much better. Just having someone who can read kanji, speak Japanese, knows the area, knows the restaurants, can call and make reservations, knows the Niseko like the back of his hand. He took us to other resorts, right? So not only in Niseko, Moiwa, Rusutsu, which are all kind of close by. We drove up to Furano. We went to Asai Dake. If you're unfamiliar with those, definitely Google those. Check them out.
They're not on any of the big passes like Niseko is, but lift tickets are very affordable up there, and that's just like a whole other world of terrain to explore in Hokkaido. And it was very cool. There's like some active geysers on the top of the volcano at Asai Dake. We got to go to some of the local cities we've never been to. We went to Asahikawa. We went to Otaru. Yeah, I've just had a great trip. Big shout out Yuji. Also want to note, Yuji, not only is he a fantastic editor, but he's a professional photographer. Worked with Red Bull Japan. I believe he's done a shoot with Travis in Japan a couple of years ago. So he's going to be on the trip, and he'll be shooting photos. So one of the perks with the retreat is one professional print and some professional digital photographs.
If you don't know who Travis is, you probably shouldn't go snowboard in Japan.
Everyone knows.
No,
they know.
We're Travis Rice.
Travis Rice, yes. Which, it's pretty cool that he was able to do that and kind of have that connect with Red Bull Japan. So, yeah. Shout out Yuji.
Cool. And then David Jones will also be there.
David's going to be hanging out. That's right. Yeah. He'll be there, I think, the whole time for both weeks. Just kind of hanging out. I think Bo and Yuji and I are going to kind of take the burden of the responsibility to make sure everyone's taken care of. But David's super fun to be around.
Yeah,
love that kid.
It's definitely going to enhance the experience for sure.
Yeah,
he's a Red Bull athlete, Red Bull New Zealand,
Red Bull affiliated.
Red Bull affiliated. Yeah, but David's, 3 of the 4 trips we've been with David. Super awesome snowboarder, really great person, and
Great
really
human.
famous YouTuber, almost to 1 million subs.
Yeah.
Probably gonna hit it any time now.
I know. Yeah, if you guys are unfamiliar with David's content, go check him out.
Yeah.
He's just a really talented creator. His editing style is awesome, very entertaining, very captivating videos, and just fun. Like, just feels good,
Yeah, he was
But
just
you're
here
hanging out with him.
Yeah, his fingerboard game. Yeah, quick story about David. David has such a following that some random kid found my house and was like, "Is David here?" And
Really?
and I was like, "No, you just missed him. How did you know he was at my house?" And he was like, "Well, I went to every house.
Oh my gosh, really?
Went to every house between the fingerboard store and my house asking for David."
Wow.
Well, so it gets even crazier.
That's
so
a lot,
He came to the
dude.
door before that and acted like he was selling candy, and my wife was like, "No, we don't want your candy," and like shut the door. Comes back like 20 minutes later, and he's like, I like opened the door because she was like, "Get rid of this kid."
Yeah.
And it's a 9-year-old kid, no parents around, just out looking for David Jones.
That's wild. Dude, that's incredible, actually.
Yeah.
Good for that kid, man, taking the initiative. I mean, that's like, you shouldn't do that.
No.
But I mean, he's 9, so he doesn't know any better. But that's wild.
Yeah, just a
That
huge
motivated.
fan. Yeah, this is a kind of a long story. I actually talked to his mom through Instagram later on. She was really trying to get him to meet David. I didn't see the message because it was like a request, but
Yeah, that's too bad.
yeah, irrelevant to Japan, but just a funny story.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great to have David there. He's been with us the last 3 times, so he knows Japan very well also. Great snowboarder, and yeah, just super fun to hang out with. But let's talk a little bit about the terrain in Niseko. And, there's basically a few different resorts that we've kind of alluded to already. So on the Icon Pass, you've got the Niseko United Resorts, which is like Hanazono, Hirafu, Niseko Village, Annupuri, and they're all kind of like different faces of the same mountain.
Yeah.
And then right adjacent to that, you have like a more local resort called Moiwa, and then about 45 minutes down the road, around Mount Yote, you've got Rusutsu, which is on the Epic Pass. So I guess first thing to mention is anywhere you snowboard in Hokkaido, or at least in the Niseko area, you just have this view of this epic volcano called Mount Yote. Full just backcountry area. There's no resorts on it, but it's just kind of an iconic peak.
Yeah, and we've snowboarded on it a couple times. We've split boarded up.
Yep.
Or snowshoed one time, I guess.
Yep.
And it's like a 50-minute run down from the peak. My leg has never been so sore.
Literally, yeah. We did I want to say like a 6-hour hike up, and then it's like a 45-minute, 50-minute ride down. Pretty much nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth talking about all the resorts. You know what I mean? Because
yeah, let's
go-
get into it. I definitely, I want to cover like Niseko, Moiwa, Rusutsu primarily because we're going to be going to all those places on the retreat. But we can talk about Furano a little bit. As well.
No. That's what I'm saying. All the resorts in Niseko.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they're all a little bit different. The terrain's a little bit different. At each face of the mountain, they have different things to offer.
Which one's your favorite?
I mean, gotta be Hano, dude.
Yeah.
Hanazono. Hanazono is great. It's a far looker's right. In the resort, you've got strawberry fields, blueberry fields, and then the gate system in Niseko is amazing. Before we jump into the terrain and the gates, I just kind of want to talk about the snow quality real quick in Niseko. It's a lot of snow. Basically the moisture sweeps in off the Sea of Japan, goes over the North Island, hits those peaks, raises up, and then the precipitation comes down in the form of just the finest, lightest, driest, super deep snow. It's incredible, and I mean, that's why people love Japan. It's the snow quality and then the quantity as well.
Yeah.
I do want to quickly talk about the forecasting as well.
Japan.
Japan.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's the reason why you go to Japan. It's the food, the people, the culture. The culture's built around respect, like showing respect for others. It's like super refreshing, the most amazing food in the world, but also the most amazing snow. Here in Colorado, right, we're super lucky. We have light, fluffy POW, but it snows like, maybe once a week, once every couple weeks.
It's very rare that we get like a 15-inch dump. You're not getting 15 inches every week.
Yeah, and in Japan, it's like a foot every day, and
it can be.
It can be. Yeah, obviously we've had great times, and we've had drier spells, but for the most part, it snows every day. The cloud just sits, so TJ was saying you see Mount Yote in the background a lot. Well, most of the time Yote is like in a cloud of snow.
Yeah.
And when that cloud clears out, it's like the most amazing view you've ever seen. But most of the time it's cloudy and snowing when you're there.
I would say, typically it does snow almost every day in our experience. And, if it doesn't snow, then you get that bluebird day and you can kind of hunt around for stashes. But stormboarding is really fun too. And one thing that's really cool about Japan is the system for forecasting is they typically under forecast.
Yeah.
So I remember our very first time in Niseko was one of the worst snow years. And our first day that it forecasted 4 centimeters overnight. And we get up there, very first day of the trip, first time in Niseko. And dude, it was like at least knee deep. Yeah, there was spots thigh deep. It was just like an amazing POW day. I'll overlay some clips from that day, and that's kind of the trend. I feel like if it snows a little bit at the higher elevations, it's gonna have snowed a lot. So it's pretty cool. And very consistent.
Very consistent. And that's the nice thing about, we plan this trip, we book hotels and everything that you have to do to go abroad to Japan, flights. Yeah. It's pretty expensive.
And it's not a trip you can just play by ear, we'll go when it snows. It's like you have to book this. Honestly,
6 months at least.
6 months, yeah. I would say that's safe. 5 months, you're still probably okay. 4 months, that's late.
Yeah, if you're trying to book now, you're too late.
Yeah,
everything is booked. I do know of an awesome retreat that you can go on, but that's really the only opportunity to go to Japan right now, I think.
Yeah, if you're, the accommodation is pretty much completely gone. So yeah, we do have a few spots left, but yeah, that's a little bit different because, a lot of places, especially in the States, you can book sometimes,
the week
of. Yeah.
We've taken off a few times, the day before, we'll just look and, hey, tomorrow Tahoe's getting 70 inches. Let's go. And flew, we did that once. We flew that night. It was I text you and then you're like, okay, let's go.
That's always a fun mission. The last minute spontaneous, chasing the snow. But no, Japan, you can't do it.
But the point I was making is just it's consistent. It snows every day. You can count on it. Bring your park board, but you better bring some POW boards because that's what you're going for.
I would say gear wise, I'm assuming if you're looking at an international snowboard trip, you probably have some solid outerwear. The snow is very dry there, so you probably don't even need Gore-Tex, I would say, but just some decent outerwear. Board wise, I would bring a more free ride leaning board, something directional that that you can have fun carving with, but it's gonna be a good time in some deeper conditions. We do usually bring a twin as well, just in case. But there's not really any parks in Niseko. Hanazono has a small park. I think in the spring they build it a little bit bigger, but it's 2 jumps and 1 little rail yard, and that's basically it. I think they might be bringing the park back in Hirafu this year, I've heard, which is a small little rail line. But basically, that's not what you're going to be doing out there. You're going to be exploring. You're going to be looking for powder. You're going to be riding trees, exploring the groomers around the resort. So yeah, I think something directional would be what you want and you want to invest in.
So we kind of got off topic, but you were about to talk about the different resorts there.
Yeah.
The differences between them.
Let's do that. Let's talk about the terrain too. So I will say there is a mix of everything, whether you've never ridden powder before and you're just there for the experience of checking it out, trying to find some deep powder for the first time, be getting in the trees for the first time. They've got that, and then, from the beginner level all the way up to full on hiking to the peak, going out the gate system, all that kind of stuff. I do want to probably start talking about Hanazono first, but let's quickly explain how the gate system works in Japan.
Yeah, and I think like the coolest part about the mountain is like if you go up to the peak, you can get down to any resort from there, right? So you have the 4 resorts, Niseko, Hirafu, Hanazono, and Annupuri. And from the very peak of the mountain, you can literally drop into whichever one you want. So if you start the day at Hanazono, you can literally go ride at Annupuri and then work your way back.
Yeah.
And that'd be like Lookers Left all the way, 4 resorts right.
That is a really cool aspect of Niseko is Hirafu is kind of the main area. That's where like the town is, the restaurants, the shops, the walkable area. And then you can kind of, go to the top and go wherever. If you go to the actual peak, you have to go out a gate. So as far as the gate system goes, it's kind of spread out around all of the different resorts. Some of them, you might come across a gate off of a groomer slope. And then some of them are going to feel a little bit more like, like I'm leaving the resort, like when you go to the peak. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but technically it's considered backcountry terrain. So make sure you have your knowledge up, you know what you're doing, or you're going with a guide. And we've have a lot of experience out all the gates in Niseko, so that is something that I think is definitely worth exploring. It's most of our favorite zones, I would say, are out the gates. So I'm going to encourage anyone who joins us this winter to kind of have the gear that they need so we can do that. Yep. But so what's your favorite? Let's start at Hanazono. What's your favorite areas in Hanazono? What's the terrain like out there?
Yeah, so there are a couple areas that you mentioned that are just like these like kind of open tree areas that are relatively steep. They have tons of pillows and drops and like things to jump off of. Strawberry fields. I think blueberry fields.
Blueberry has some cool drops too.
Yeah. And like, they all have like these secret spots that are awesome, that are like hard to get to, that someone like would literally have to show you how to get there, I think. And then there's my favorite probably zone in the world, which is just, it's out one of the gates 14.
I'm gonna. It's not any. Nope. All those are wrong. But I don't want to blow up the spot. I don't want to give the actual gate number or anything.
I just know where it's at. I don't know what it's called. But basically, you can get there from the peak, right? And it's this back bowl in Hanazono, and you end up on a cat track, so you do have to hike out. And
worth it.
Yeah, it's just the cloud or whatever just sits back in there. It's super deep. I mean, I've got literally videos where the snow's like up in my chest, and I'm just like, oh my god! Like,
I'll play that one right now. Yeah. That's like probably my favorite clip of Bo ever. It's literally chest deep. It's insane.
I have a video of you like coming down towards me, and you just like eat it at the bottom.
Yeah,
and it's just like you're like, oh wait, you're all right. You're like, oh my god! Like,
it was so good.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, that was our 2019 trip.
I think so. Yeah.
Or technically that was 2020.
Okay.
That was January 2020.
Yep. Yeah, we were in Japan when everything kind of hit the fan with COVID.
That was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I had kind of hurt my knee, so I went to the store. So there's like a little city close by called Kuchan. It's where like the grocery stores and things are.
It's where like the locals live. Niseko, Hirafu is the more like tourism driven area, and then Kuchan is like literally it's like 10 minutes away.
10 minutes away, yeah. And I was going to buy like hand sanitizer and masks, and there was just none. It was like, we were late to the news because we're just snowboarding every day, and the whole country was like,
it was a wild time.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that zone in Niseko, it's amazing. It's all trees for the most part. The top part is kind of an open, like
a little more glade. Alpine.
Yeah. And the trees, they're just the perfect pitch, and not a lot of people get in there because you have to do some hiking to get to the goods.
Yep.
and then you have to hike out. So we've probably done that hike, 60 times.
Dude, so many times.
Yeah.
We did it a little. I think we overdid it last year a little bit.
Yeah,
but
we just did it all day.
it's just
every day.
so good. But yeah, I've looked at the terrain maps on that with the slope overlays, and most of it is just under 30 degrees, which is exactly what you want. As far as like safety goes, there is some steeper areas in Niseko that you can explore, but I think that just kind of hits the sweet spot for me for just like deep, cruisy, powder tree laps. Is just so fun.
Yeah, and we know it now because we've done it so many times.
Yeah.
So like, I can be at the top and see you guys at the bottom because I know right where.
Yeah, and there's like a convenient meetup spot at the cat track if you get split up or whatever. But yeah, that's an amazing zone. I think it's worth mentioning what the trees are like out there too. I'd say it's more similar to like, if you're going to compare it to something in Colorado, it'd be more like aspen tree riding versus pine.
Yeah, exactly.
And the way the snow stacks up in Japan is just like, it sticks to everything, and you get these like pillows in the trees, and it's just very picturesque. And Rusutsu has some amazing trees. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, there's a lot of other great areas in Niseko as well. So I would say Hirafu, the next resort over. A lot of great in-resort terrain, great groomers. There's some really fun trees. There's a really cool like inbounds hike you can do that has some fun pillow drops and fun tree riding that usually, most people don't like to hike, even if it's just a 2-minute hike. So that can hold fresh snow at like 3 p.m.
Yeah, and that may be the best zone. Do we want to say what it's called?
Nah. You can find it if there's not that many hikes on Hirafu inbound, so you can find it. But yeah, I think our first day there that last year, I don't know if that was our first day. I think it was our third day. Maybe it was that storm day, but we hiked it.
Yeah, you'll
4
see
times.
a video on TJ's channel, and Benton does a backflip in the zone off of a pillow.
Yeah,
to bolts
a
and
massive
just pow
backflip
flying everywhere. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll know the shot when you see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that zone too, man. And you can lap it, which is
it's quick, yeah, because
nice
you don't have to take a ton of chairlifts to access it. It's just a pretty quick lap, short hike. And then the next resort over is Niseko Village, which I would say we've probably spent the least amount of time riding that particular
until last
area.
year, I guess.
Last year we spent
day one, right?
Yeah, which I'm kind of bummed we didn't ride there more sooner because it's rad.
It was awesome, yeah.
lot of poppers, a lot of little pillow drops, really fun trees, cool zone there as well. And then
and it comes down to this like 007 like evil lair looking hotel.
Yeah, it looks like you're in like Moscow or something.
What is that hotel? It's like the Four Seasons or something.
Dude,
I don't know.
I don't know. It is a fancy hotel, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what that building is called though.
Yeah, it's
The
kind
whole
of crazy.
building's not a hotel,
looking.
I don't think.
Because it's built there, and they had to build the building in a shape to shed snow. So it's just like all these crazy angles in like a huge hotel.
It's the biggest building in Niseko, I think.
Yeah.
It's very tall.
But it's also like hidden, and it's on the mountain, and like kind of has its own chair.
It's a little bit further out of the way. I would say the most convenient place to stay in Niseko is Hirafu area or Lower Hirafu.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to be staying for the retreat. We're like super close to the Hirafu gondola.
Yep. And if you want like restaurants and bars and stuff, that's where all that stuff is.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
shops like the Burton store.
Local shops. Yeah.
And then Annupuri.
Yep. So the last resort in Niseko is Annupuri.
Arguably the best too.
Looker's left. That was where we rode the first day that I mentioned, where they under forecasted, and it was really awesome. Yeah. There's some really fun gates out there, some fun bowls, some fun trees. There's some drops there as well, but I would say I'm looking for like the tree riding in Annupuri.
Yeah, it's like you go up to the top, and I think that's the highest chairlift there. There's the pizza box chair that kind of goes up right under the peak.
That's a classic. That's top of Hirafu, oldest chairlift in Niseko.
It's a one-person chair.
Yeah, it's very unique.
It's like you're sitting on a pizza box. That's what they call it.
There's no bar. You're just holding on to like this pole. It's a little
kind of
sketchy.
Yeah. You got to hold on. There's no, yeah, you're holding on. There's like a rail. There's nothing that comes down over you.
Yeah. It's cool. It's definitely something you got to do when you visit Niseko. Get your, your selfie on the pizza box or whatever and just have that experience.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes you up to the gates where you can hike to the peak.
Yeah. But Annupuri, when you go up to the highest lift and kind of go out, skiers right, it's just a massive bowl back in there, and just so much terrain to just get fresh lines like all day. You just spend all day there and just keep working your way all through that bowl, and it holds snow and not that many people are in there.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think with the strategy in Niseko, you definitely can kind of traverse across the resort and explore, but it's a lot of fun to kind of pick a zone and go deep into that and try to find the nooks and crannies and stashes, and I feel like that's what we've done and why we kind of have found some honey holes almost.
Yeah, you spend a day at a resort, like don't go one run in Annupuri and then go over to Hanazono. Like you'll spend too much time like going between the two. Like just go lap an area and just find
Get to
the
know
best
it.
spots.
Yeah.
And then that way, in 4 days when you come back there, you're like, okay, I'm going back to this one spot, get your dream run, and then keep exploring.
Yep.
And we still don't know at all after all the time we spent there.
Yeah, because I feel like we found zones that we love, and so we go there first, and then maybe we find like one new zone each year. And Yuji has shown us some spots, which is great to kind of have gotten that local knowledge.
Yeah, it was nice too because Yuji like was basically like, oh, you guys like know all the good spots already, like because we like just explored and found them on our own, which that was kind of refreshing. But he definitely showed us some new stuff.
Oh, he did. Yeah. But it was cool to kind of get that validation on like, oh, like we love these zones too. Like this is one of the better spots. Like good work,
Yep.
So yeah, that's a quick rundown of Niseko. Really cool place. It's awesome. It's on the Icon Pass. And then I also want to talk about the resort just adjacent to it. Like I said, we're going to spend a day there on the retreat, Moiwa. It's just a short drive to get there if you're staying in the Niseko Hirafu area, but it's not on the Niseko United Pass, so it's way less crowded. Most of the tourism people are coming to ride Niseko. Lift tickets are pretty inexpensive. It's a little bit of a smaller resort, but it's literally right adjacent. You can see it from Annupuri. I think you could probably traverse there from Annupuri if you wanted to.
There's only like 2 or 3 lifts, right?
It's pretty small, yeah. There's not a ton of lifts, and once you're at the top, I mean, you can kind of just explore the riders right, explore the riders left, go down the middle. It's not a huge resort, but it holds snow. It's absolutely worth going to if you're going to visit the Niseko area. I would say definitely spend one day there. Great tree riding. There's some gates there as well. There's some fun drops, some cool terrain, but I'd say the standout for me with Moiwa is the tree riding.
Yeah. Amazing trees.
And the fact that you could ride there from open to close and get fresh lines the whole time.
Yeah. Don't tell anyone.
You're finding, maybe not like untracked like backcountry lines, but you're finding, fresh stashes, like really nice turns all day.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Moiwa. It's so nice to go there. There's like no one there. The terrain is perfect. Dude, at the end of the day last year, I found this zone that was insane, and I'd never been there. And I'm itching to go back this year and try to find that same spot.
Dude, I'm so bummed. Both Yuji and Bo went there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to this I want to do this one run again. I thought I saw a cool line.
Yeah.
And then we get to the bottom, and they're like, that was the best line of the day. That was the best line of the day. And
Let's go home.
I was feeling the FOMO for sure.
Yeah, and Yuji showed us like a bunch of like cool drops. Probably like the most fun drop that I did the whole trip was there.
Yuji knows a lot of very cool like photogenic spots too, because he focuses a lot on that. He also works for Ski Japan, does media for them. So he spent a lot of time searching for those kind of more picturesque, cool spots, even if they're a little bit out of the way. So that's cool.
The other thing about Moiwa too, there's only like one restaurant. There's like one main base, and if you go to Japan and you're hungry midday, you get one of two things. You get a nice hot bowl of ramen
Mm-hmm.
or some katsu curry, pork katsu curry.
Dude,
Oh
the
my gosh.
katsu is my jam. I mean, a bowl of ramen midday is pretty good too, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll do lunch at the retreat at Moiwa. Definitely
Yep.
get some katsu there. I think they have ramen there too.
It's interesting in Japan, like you place your order in a vending machine a lot of times. You'll pay for it there in the vending machine. You click what you want. It's got photos. And I think they do this for the tourists, right? So you might not be able to read the kanji on a menu, but you can see the photo of what it is, right? So you want katsu curry. There's a big picture of it because it's what everyone gets. You hit it, gives you a little card. You take that up to the cook. In this restaurant in particular, Moiwa, all the cooking is done in the middle. All the tourists sit, or skiers or snowboarders sit around the outside, and then they call your number. They call your number in English, which is nice.
Yeah.
But you do have to pay attention and get your food when it's
Yeah,
ready.
it's a cool experience. Definitely kind of more old school type of feel, and I think it's worth noting here that a lot of stuff in Japan is cash based. So
Yeah.
like whether that's the food, oftentimes, or onsen shops and stuff are going to take cards for the most part, but sometimes restaurants and a lot of times the onsen is cash only.
Do you mind if we do a sponsor segment by Mamitas?
by Prime Energy, you mean?
This episode is brought to you by Prime Hydration.
Prime, sponsor me.
You
Sponsor
ever
us.
watch Sunday Conversation?
Dude, yeah, Caleb Presley's so funny.
So,
I watch
if we
all
do
of
a
it.
sponsor segment by Mamitas?
He's got some new sponsors now. He's
Yeah.
been switching it up a little bit. Dude
Dude wipes. That's the one. Yeah. Dude wipes are great. I'm going camping in a couple weeks. So I just bought a thing of dude wipes.
There you go, dude.
Yeah. And then Rusutsu. Gotta bring
Yeah,
that one up.
I want to get into the non-snowboarding stuff to do in Niseko area, but let's talk about Rusutsu first. So, you wanna jump into that?
Yeah, Rusutsu, the hidden gem.
That's awesome.
The gem of the hidden leaf village.
It's on the Epic Pass.
It is
so
on the
you
Epic
get,
Pass.
You get 5 days. You
Yeah.
have to go consecutive.
Yep.
But you do get 5 days, so you could spend some time in Rusutsu. It's a pretty large resort.
It is. It's huge. Every time I go there, I think to myself, is this my favorite resort in the world? Like Hanazono, dude, Rusutsu is so good. And it's just got everything, every type of terrain. It's huge. And then just the experience of going there.
We got to talk about how weird it is.
Yeah. So it's about 45 minutes from Niseko.
Mellow drive.
Easy drive to get over there. You get to drive right by Mount Yote, which is beautiful.
Yep.
There's another volcano that's basically lingers kind of over Rusutsu, but you get there to the main base, and there's a full theme park there with roller coasters and Ferris wheels, and I think there's a water park there too for in the summer, and it's kind of wild. So you're like, okay, this place is cool, and then you
It's
go inside.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it's where you get your lift ticket. It's so it's theme park outside, and then it's carnival inside. That's kind of in a shopping mall, and there's a merry-go-round.
Yeah, carousel. Right when you walk in, literally right next to the ticket pickup, there's this crazy carousel. There's a talking animatronic tree. They got Chuck E. Cheese style characters upstairs, a band off-brand Chuck E. Cheese. It's interesting.
It is kind of crazy. So you're getting this it's you almost don't want to go snowboard because you want to walk around and see all this weird stuff that's happening in this place. So you got to go here after you're done snowboarding.
Yeah,
is the trick.
It's cool. You can check out the little lobby area. There's some stuff there, but after your day of snowboarding, definitely take some time to walk around and check out the novelty. I don't know what the idea was with that, but they made it an interesting attraction for sure.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool how it's set up too. There's it's almost like two mountains, and then there's this it's in resort, but it's a natural terrain park they built out of trees and wood, and like it's not like features like you see in a traditional terrain park.
It's like wooden features, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all pretty big. I know like a lot of pros go just to ride that park.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Like a natural park?
I think they call it the natural park. I'm not sure. They do have a name for it, but I'm not sure what they call it.
Yeah, so that's kind of right at the main base where you get your lift tickets, and then from there you take a gondola over to a different mountain where you access like all the like real terrain.
That's where we spend most of the day.
Yeah, really, last year we didn't even take a lap over on the one side.
I think so. My favorite strategy with Rusutsu is go to the far back.
Yeah.
Go to our favorite little tree bowl zone, which is the big standout for me with Rusutsu is the tree riding. It's like the most unique tree riding, some of the most unique tree riding in the world. Very different from anything you have in Colorado.
It's like the perfect pitch. It's super spread out, big trees.
And a lot of people aren't in the trees there. So
Yeah.
you can find good snow all day at Rusutsu, at least in our experience. And it's all inbounds. You get those snow pillows in the trees that just creates this crazy, just like almost like magical feeling environment. A lot of fun drops. Sometimes like there's actually quite a few like log features you can come across in the trees, and there's some big drops too. There's that Hollywood drop Yuji showed us.
Yeah.
And a great, it's a large resort, so you can spend a whole day there or multiple days, exploring.
Definitely could spend more than one day there. I mean, typically we go there more than once on a trip. If you go to Niseko, you have to go to Rusutsu, though. Do not miss out on Rusutsu.
Even if you have to buy a day pass, I would say
Totally
do
worth
it.
it. 100% worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're going all the way to Japan, it's worth it.
It has to be on your list. You go to Niseko, hit the 4 resorts, but you have to spend one day in Rusutsu. And I mean, terrain-wise, I mean, it's perfect in my opinion. The trees are perfect. My favorite thing to
Very
ride.
gladed.
Yeah.
Very gladed.
My favorite terrain to ride in the world, I mean personally, is powder trees. And when you space the trees out to where it's not sketchy, I mean, and you have the right pitch. It's, like you're just surfing, and having trees, I think, makes it more fun because you do have something to ride around.
Yeah.
Something that builds up, pillows to jump off of and things like that.
100%.
And oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
And yeah, we kind of have our like one zone that's like our favorite at Rusutsu that we kind of go to first.
Yeah.
But you'll find those gladed trees all over the resort.
Everywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Good groomers too.
Yep. There's also the Steamboat Cafe. If you're ever there, check it out.
They have the same logo as Steamboat Resort.
Same logo, same colors. Like
it's weird. I don't know how they got away with that.
Yeah. They definitely. I mean, I would assume they copied it.
I guess. I don't know what the story is behind that, but I feel like there's a copyright issue there. I don't know.
Maybe. But they serve katsu curry there, and it's real good.
Yeah, they got a nice lodge there, and then
it's typically colder there, I think, at Rusutsu. I'm always cold when I'm there. I remember like always bundled.
Yeah. I feel like there's been some cold times there. I feel like we usually hit it where it's like mixed weather, where it's maybe like a little stormy part of the day, but then like the sun will come out and you'll get bluebird for part of the day.
Do you remember last year how cold it was when we were there? Like I remember wearing my down gloves.
Oh my God, yeah.
I remember the end of the day, just like my nose was just
trying
like
to
brutal.
film with the Sony with like taking our gloves off. Oh my gosh.
I watched my Rusutsu video last night actually, so
so it's fresh on the mind.
We played it on the TV, and I remember my outro. Just my face looks like I just been out in sub-zero temperatures all day.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe worth mentioning real quick too. We talked about boards a little bit gear-wise, but for the most part, I would say it's going to be like pretty comfortable in the 20s, like cold. But then there are those days where it'll be like in the teens, and you want to have those extra layers, like maybe like a double face mask day, or you bust out your glove liners, or if you have like a thick pair of gloves. I've got the AK oven mitts that I'll bring in Japan for those cold days.
Yeah, I typically bring an extra face mask too, because with all the POW just everywhere, and you're breathing and you're covering your nose,
Yeah.
you get kind of a wet face mask sometimes, so I'll swap mine out. I typically wear like a balaclava hood over my helmet, and I think I'm going to stop doing that and actually just wear the hood of my jacket this year because there's just so much snow. It's just sticking to it, and then all freezes solid, and just it was a little brutal last year wearing it like that.
Dude, that's your classic look, though, dude.
I know.
It's gonna be different, man.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Incognito out there. Or I might wear my Whiteboard Archive hoodie.
Oh, shout out to the new hoodies. They just came in. They're gonna be available November 15th.
Got the pit zips.
Yeah.
Got zip. Got a pocket.
The new white one Bo's wearing. The classic riding hoodie. Love that one. And then we're introducing the 10K waterproof hoodie that I got on right here. Two-tone. Stoked to offer this for you guys. I think they turned out really good.
Yeah, I'm real excited to wear that one as well. I tried it on this morning. Haven't got mine yet, but hopefully gonna get one soon.
Yeah, sorry, dude. We'll get it to you soon. But one last note on Rusutsu is on the way back to the front side of the mountain where the parking is. There's some really fun, like a really cool zone to kind of traverse through. With some great trees and like log features in there. You could honestly have fun just lapping that, but it's a nice thing to look forward to at the end of the day to get back to the front side.
Well, we did it as on our way out to like go home, and they were like, let's do that again. And like got back on the chair. I'm pretty sure we did it like 3 times.
And I mean, then on the front side, there's kind of a little sneaky zone underneath the chairlift that is really fun as well. And that's what I look forward to Rusutsu. It's like all day riding amazing trees, traverse back, and then you hit this zone that's like right on the front side that it's off a beginner slope. I don't want to give it away, but like it's literally people learning how to snowboard, so they're like struggling to get down like the mellow groomer. So the trees are just, there's no tracks.
Yeah,
it's a little tighter, but it's cool.
Yeah, Rusutsu is up there. I mean, I think I have multiple videos titled "Is Rusutsu the best resort in Japan?" Like, because I go there and I'm like, it could be like it's up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, one of my favorites for sure.
And then kind of getting into non-snowboarding stuff to do in the area now. I feel like that's a good little summary of all the resorts. I feel like we've been kind of riffing on that for a while, but aside from the snowboarding, it's still a great cultural experience. And one of my favorite things, especially on the Rusutsu days, is stopping by that onsen on the way back. There's tons of onsens scattered all over Japan in the mountains. If you guys are unfamiliar, it's basically like a natural hot spring, so the mineral water from the volcanoes, they make like these spa pools, and it's like just a local cultural thing, very popular out there. They're all over. Yeah, typically they're outside too, outside and inside, and you're like in the rocks, in the snow, so you can like pop out and like lay down in the snow if you want to. So a lot of them have cold pools. I know like ice baths are a real popular thing right now. Yeah, it's nice to see the hot cold, different temperature hot pools. Some of them get really, really hot. A lot of times there's saunas as well. There's like a resting kind of room where they have massage chairs. You can stretch and things after. It's like the best way to wind down and just relax and get your body right after a day of snowboarding. Yep, and they are like segregated, so like all the men are on one side, the women are on the other. This one in particular, on the way back from Rusutsu, literally you're like sitting in the hot pool outside, and it's just Mount Yote. You're just looking at this huge volcano. It's so cool. It's awesome. It's so good. It's I always look forward to visiting that one. And the onsens are very inexpensive. It's usually about, with like the towels included, it's even cheaper if you bring your own towels, but it's like 900 yen, so it's like, $9, less than $9 depending on the conversion rate. And so we're planning to do 3 onsen visits covered with the retreat. If you want to, everything's optional with the retreat, but we try to go like every day after riding, basically. One other thing I forgot to mention earlier is there's night riding available as well. So at Hirafu, there's night skiing. So we'll get up to 3 days night skiing if you want. I feel like it's kind of tough to do that after a full day of boarding, but we're going to do at least 1 day night skiing. I've never done it. Never went. You never done it? I'm always just so tired. I'm like, you guys have fun. Like, dude, yeah, I want to hopefully try to hit it on the trip with the guests where it's snowing at night.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun. And you can dip in the trees. It's pretty well lit up. It's a good little slope, and just night POW laps sounds like it'd be amazing. Try to bring some headlamps out with us or something, get some interesting shots. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Yep. And I'm excited. Outside of of snowboarding, arguably the second best thing about Japan is the food.
Yep.
Sushi, ramen at night. Niseko area has some amazing restaurants. They even have this Indian restaurant called the Taj Mahal. They have 2 locations, and it's some of the best Indian food I've ever had. But as far as the food goes in Japan, I mean, if you're going on the retreat or just going there in general, right? Like, you're probably gonna find a Tokyo. Tokyo has the most amount of Michelin star restaurants in the world. Japan as a country does as well, but if you're going to spend time in Tokyo, go to the sushi spots, go ramen, go get Wagyu, right? A5 Wagyu if you can, the best beef, in the world. You can have it shabu shabu or sukiyaki style, like you dip it in a broth and then dip it in a raw egg. And in Japan, you can do that. And it's like, oh my gosh, my mouth is watering just thinking about it.
That's Bo's favorite dish, just for reference there.
Sukiyaki, yeah.
The most amazing cuisine experience, which I definitely want to incorporate in the trip. I mean, okonomiyaki, so many foods that just aren't available in the States. That it's just an interesting experience.
And what's the breaded fish called? I forget what it's called.
Breaded fish?
Yeah.
Where do we have that?
It's like a you go to a place that serves it.
Oh yeah, they usually have it on a stick with eel sauce.
No. That's the octopus balls. I forget what those are called, but those are balls of octopus. Oh. And you dip them in eel sauce.
Those are good. Those are good too.
They're pretty good. Yep, you gotta try those. I forget what the breaded fish is called. I'll look it up.
Okay.
It's worth a Google.
But I would say, obviously Japan is known for their fish markets, the quality of the fish, the sushi. They export it all over the world from their fish markets. So that's a must. The ramen is delicious. The kind of classic curry is really good as well. And they've got Korean barbecue spots, a lot of interesting restaurants. So we're going to try to incorporate that into the trip. And, when we go just for personal, for fun, we try to mix it up and get out of our comfort zone with the food
Tempura.
a little bit. Oh, just fish, just tempura?
Yeah, but you go to
that was the word you were
tempura
looking
restaurant in Japan, and that's all they have.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Worth checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we were in Furano when we had the tempura last year.
Yeah.
That was really good.
But yeah, I mean, and if you're going to Japan, right, don't just go snowboarding. Go experience the culture. Go explore around Tokyo. I mean, we could give you advice on 50 places to go check out. I mean,
dude,
we're going.
Even just going to the grocery store is an experience.
Yeah.
Which day one of the trip, we're gonna go there, get everything for breakfast for the week, and that's a trip. Is the electronic stores, just everything. But
bring your own grocery bag. I know you're not traveling with a grocery bag, but if you they don't have grocery bags there. They typically give you a box,
a little cardboard box, which is actually really clutch that they have that. But
sometimes they don't have it, so you be prepared for that. I'm gonna be prepared this year with a bag. I think I'm gonna bring extra.
I should bring one too.
But in Tokyo, right, or take the bullet train down to Kyoto, see, all the sites in Japan. Just being able to immerse yourself in the culture. It's such a cultural rich place. There's definitely the spots in Tokyo that you have to go,
at least because you have to transit through Tokyo anyway, right? So spending at least 2 or 3 days in Tokyo, there's so much to do. I mean, obviously there's unlimited restaurants, there's awesome shopping, there's historical sites, there's temples,
Yep. Sensoji Temple in Sakusa. That's going to
Classic.
be that's like the number one tourist spot, I'm pretty sure, in Tokyo. And it's just like a temple and a shrine and then a market. So like any souvenirs or things like that, they're going to have anything you can imagine. Also going to have cool food. There's also a little mall there you can walk around. Any of the markets are awesome. Go to the fish market, right? The Toyosu market used to be the Tsukiji market, biggest fish market in the world. But they have like an outer market you can walk around and get like the freshest tuna. You could buy one piece of nigiri tuna. It's like $80, but it's like literally gonna melt in your mouth and change your life.
You mean $8?
No, like $80.
80?
Yeah.
I've never had that one. I've had one that was like $10, I think, and that was fire. But
with Jonathan, me and Kinsey,
you blew $80 on a bite.
he bought it for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out Jonathan, Kwok, Michael.
Yep. We
Mike's gonna be at the retreat.
Yep,
Mike's a legend.
We have some friends who live in Tokyo that we met our very first time in Japan. They like hit us up, gave us a place to stay, and just like took us under their wing, showed us like the best time.
Yeah.
They're like local bars. Like my wife and I traveled around with them as well. Got to go to a bar that like they don't let foreigners in ever.
It was like one room, like smaller than this.
This is a different one that we got to go to. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just me and Kinsey and Jonathan. Apparently Jonathan's like the only foreigner they ever let in, and he convinced the owner to like let us in, and it was like you would have never knew because they loved us. Like just all the like locals were there. It was like 20 people watching a soccer game, and it was like the greatest experience. Kinsey loved it. We still have people from that bar that we keep in touch with, like on Instagram and stuff.
That's dope, dude. Yeah. It's the friendliness and the hospitality and the welcome that you get in Japan is just unmatched. The people are so good.
Yeah.
But what are some other spots in Tokyo we could shout out real quick for anyone?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say too, like just traveling around Tokyo, you're gonna take the trains for the most part. Don't take an Uber, in my advice. Take a taxi. It's gonna be a lot cheaper. You can have the same experience. Super nice taxis. They're just like so well taken care of. Everything in Japan, like people, if it's their job, they take a high amount of pride in their work.
Yeah,
everything. That's why the food is so good. But even riding taxis, like it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, or someone in the market, like a knife maker. They're like dedicating their life to like making the best, highest quality, sharpest knives. Like a lot of pride in everything that goes on over there. I think the infrastructure is worth noting. I think if you can take the train, it's going to be a little bit more affordable. You could probably spend $20 and that'll cover you for a couple days going all over Tokyo.
So you get like a charge card, Passmo. There's a couple brands, and you just, as you're going through the train station or getting on a bus, or I think you can even pay taxis. Then you can pay like restaurants with these cards. They just have this whole charge card system where you just load up the card when you get there and then use that to travel around.
Very convenient. And I got to say, I live in Summit here in Colorado, so I don't use any public transit. I never really lived in big cities. I lived in Denver for a few years, but didn't really use the public transit system. And it is extremely easy to navigate. It's just like very reliable with the way it's set up. Like the train is always on time for the most part, and it's really easy to navigate. A lot of the locals will use Yahoo, actually, which is interesting because that's not so popular in the States. But we've just used Google Maps, and even that, it updates the train times in real time. You're like, you got to be at this particular, train station at this time, and it updates by the minute. So it's you can just be like you want to go from your location to Shibuya or wherever, and it'll find the quickest train route. It'll tell you the times. Usually there's trains like every 10 minutes, so if you do miss your train, it's not too long of a wait. Very convenient, very affordable. And taxis as well, but just the infrastructure is really on point. And everything's super clean as well. I think that's worth noting. I always like to mention
Great disrespect.
Our first time in Tokyo, I saw a dude vacuuming this in the subway, just like vacuuming concrete in the subway. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's like considered like disrespectful to eat in public. So there's like no trash cans. So be prepared that like when you go out, if you do have a snack or you have to throw something away, like you're gonna put that trash in your pocket till you get home, because you're really not gonna find trash cans anywhere. We kind of figured out like maybe in the bathroom somewhere there'll be a trash can, but for the most part there's not. Also in the bathrooms there's like bidets on all the toilets.
Oh my god, yeah, the
like
toilet game in Japan is next level.
super nice. Like there's this whole like pad where you like you press whatever type of
Proper.
you want, air or water or
even you can adjust the pressure. Heated seats.
We were in a park like in the kind of middle of nowhere outside Kamakura, I think is what it's called. Go check that out outside of Tokyo. It's like a huge Buddha statue, bamboo forest.
Yeah, super cool.
But we're by the Buddha. There's like nothing around. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I like go to the toilet, and I sit down, and it's a heated seat. I'm like, what is going on? It's like, I'm surprised there's like running water, like where we are, and heated seat.
They've got it. They've got the
it was cold too, because it was like an outdoor
Japan.
bathroom. Like there was like the temperature in the bathroom was like the temperature of the outside. You know? So I wasn't expecting much. It is like
heated seats.
Full heated seats. Yeah.
Comfort.
But
luxury.
What TJ, I want to touch on what you were saying a second ago. Like basically in Japan, you just Google where you're trying to go, right? So let's say you want to go to Tokyo Skytree. Highly recommend checking that out. It's like a huge tower. You can see the full city. It's kind of expensive, but Tokyo is the biggest city in the world. So like you get up there and you can see like all the way to Mount Fuji. But it's city from where you are, all directions. You like can't see anything other than city.
It's wild.
It's super mind blowing. There's so many like people there, but it really doesn't feel like a lot of people a lot of times.
Yeah. The organization is insane.
But if you want to go there, and let's say you're in Shinjuku or something, you just open up Google Maps, you say where you want to go, you hit the train button, and it'll tell you like exactly when the train's going to pick up, or it'll give you a few times when the closest one's going to pick up. You think, it tells you how long it's going to take for you to walk to the train station, right? So you literally can just see exactly what you need to do and then just follow along on your phone. Once you click start, it tells you like, okay, once you're at this train station, you transfer to this line. It's going to be there at 3:05, and like gives you plenty of time. And it's just all through Google Maps. It's so nice, and it's accurate every time.
It is. Yeah, very reliable. Very on point and super easy. Not something to be intimidated by. A little bit different, maybe navigating the signage at first, but most of it in Tokyo does have English as well as the kanji.
The roads are flipped there too, so keep that in mind. I've drove there a bunch. If you are going to drive around Japan, you do need to get a international driver's license.
Get your IDL. It's like $20 at AAA. Super easy. You can just
Super
walk
easy
in
to
and
get
get
it.
it. Very easy.
Yep. But the roads are flipped, and the steering wheel is on the right side. If you are, an American or in a country that
a little different.
The roads are,
it's easy though. It's easy driving. The rental. We've never had any issues as far as like getting stuck or anything like that. A lot of times in the winter you are driving in the snow. Sometimes visibility can be iffy, but for the most part, I would say it's pretty easy to drive.
Yeah.
At least in Hokkaido, we don't drive in Tokyo.
The snow gets so deep that they have these like lights up on big poles about every like 30 feet that have a huge LED arrow, and you just like you're driving in whiteout blizzard. There's huge snowbanks on both sides, and you can't see much, but you can see this like flashing arrow. Like
that's
day
how
and night,
you're in
they
your
just
lane.
keep them, and you just keep your car under that light, and you're good to go. But
you're not going to drive off the road. As long
driving
as you can
anywhere
see
in
that.
the snow, is sketchy, especially when the roads are flipped.
And that's avoidable. We've been in situations where it's like we want to go to this place and we have to go now, so we were driving at night in a snowstorm, and obviously that's avoidable.
White knuckles,
But dude, back to Tokyo. We've talked about Asakusa. We've talked about the Skytree.
Yeah.
What are some other spots, just like high level, fun places to go check out if it's your first time in Tokyo?
Yeah, I could rattle off a bunch.
Let's rattle off like just a couple.
Well, Shibuya Crossing, and we kind of have to tell the story of what happened there. So, Shibuya Crossing is the busiest intersection in the world. You probably recognize it from Too Fast, Too Furious.
No, it's Tokyo Drift.
Oh, yeah. Wait. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
That's
the third one.
That's the third one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they drift through there, through all the people.
And the Veilside RX-7,
TJ used to drive have one of those.
Yeah, that was my favorite vehicle I've ever owned when I was younger. I used to be into tuner cars, and I was lucky enough to get a FDRX7 back when they were still a normal price. I think I got mine for like 12K or something,
Nice.
which is crazy now. They're like triple that. It's wild. But anyways, that's the spot where they drift through that crossing through all the people. Shibuya, great scenic spot, shopping there, restaurants, viewpoints, great nightlife, I would say, in Shibuya.
But
the story.
yeah, so I think this was in
2019.
2019, yeah. TJ is getting a shot in the intersection. So he wants to do a very unique shot where he needs to run out in the intersection before everyone's walking and just stand still, right? So it's like a time-lapse looking thing.
Yep.
And then he has to stay out there after all the people are done walking and then sprint back.
Before the light changes, yeah.
Yep. So he does it, and then like 30 minutes later, he realizes he doesn't have his passport anymore.
Dude, I blew it. You should never really travel with your passport if you have a hotel. I mean, in my opinion, at least. And if you do, keep it in a zippered pocket. And I just was in a hurry. I had it in my back pocket, and it just fell out. And I realized, and just like all the worst case scenarios running through my head. Our flight was the next day to go back to the States. I'm like, all right, I'm going to lose like $1,000 having to book another flight. I'm going to have to stay in Tokyo until I can go to the embassy. Like all this gnarly stuff going through my head. And the first thing we do, we're like, well, let's retrace our steps. Let's see if, we can find it. Which who would think you could, if you like dropped your passport in New York City in an intersection, like
this is busier than that.
Way busier. You're like you're never seeing that thing again.
Yeah.
So we go back, and there's like these little like police station, like little huts kind of in a lot of the busy areas. And so we get back to Shibuya, and we're like, well, let's see if someone turned it in. So we ask them, I give them my first name, and then they come back and they're like, okay, we'll check. And then they come back and they say my full name. And we just like start celebrating. We're like so stoked. Couldn't believe someone turned it in. And I think that just goes to demonstrate the culture there and how respectful people are and how much they care about community. And, it's just good people.
I think $4 million gets turned in a year in Tokyo of money that's been found on the street.
That's wild.
It's crazy. Just I mean,
that's a nice budget.
It's pleasant.
For something.
Yeah, it's very nice to go there. But some other spots, right? So I really like Gundam Base Tokyo. There's a Team Lab over there. So I think that one might have closed down, but there's Team Lab Planets, Team Lab Borderless. Borderless was in that area. If you go, I mean, Team Lab Planets is like a super cool, like interactive, like adult kind of art museum. I would
Not
say.
Like. It's just like not for kids. It's not like
there's kids there sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like it's cool for like all ages.
Yeah, it's not like anything sketchy. It's just you can have fun there as an adult as well.
Yeah.
Very cool interactive.
It's
art
interactive.
exhibit.
Yeah, you're like walking through water, climbing on things, like cool lights and music and art. A lot of cool like artistic stuff. But at Gundam Base is where they have the huge Gundam. That's also where like the Fuji Studios, I think. The studio that makes Dragon Ball Z is there. So you can go like check all that out. You can go up in this like crazy orb looking building that overlooks this bay in the city, and it's just like it's really, really clear. You could spend like 4 or 5 hours there. And then I mean, there's so much of Uno Park and the market there.
A lot of cool markets, a lot of fun daytime activities, a lot of cool temples to go explore around the city.
Tons of temples, yeah.
I do want to also mention the area that we stayed in last time, which is called Shinjuku, and that's, I guess, I would say more of a nightlife area. There's some shopping you can do in the daytime, but if you've heard of the Robot Cafe, that's in Shinjuku.
Yep.
A lot of interesting places to check out, and people are going to be out until the late hours of the night out there.
All night, basically.
Yeah.
There's karaoke everywhere, bars, awesome restaurants.
Kebab stands.
Yeah. Akihabara is like the technology, like there's like these buildings and each floor is like a different theme. You can go buy manga on a floor. It's like a Best Buy on a floor. It's like
I was about to say it's almost like a Best Buy, but instead of a big warehouse, it's like stacked up.
Yeah,
and
like
then but there's even
TVs
more than
or
that.
like 1 4 is a grocery store. What's the grocery store that's
Don Don Quixote.
Don Don Quixote? Yeah. So check those stores out. They
Yeah.
kind of sell everything there.
Akihabara is definitely a place worth checking out. It's like a shopping district, like Bo was saying. So,
Yeah.
whether you're really whatever you're looking for, whether it's electronics or like anime related or video games or books or
Hedgehog Cafe is there.
owl cafes, all that kind of stuff.
Cat cafes. And,
There's some restaurants there as well.
A lot of Japanese culture that you don't get in other parts of the city are there. Each city kind of has its own thing going on around Tokyo. Like any major city has its own like little cities in between.
Yeah.
The nice thing too is like you can get everywhere by train so quickly. It's cool.
Yeah.
Then you have like Ginza, which is like the shopping
That's like
district.
the fancy. That's like where they have like the Gucci store and stuff.
yeah.
And that's near the Emperor's Palace as well, which is cool. A cool place to check out.
Museums too, like the Edo Museum, the Tokyo National History Museum. Each trip, I think we go to like one different museum, which is, in the States, like never go to museums, but in other countries, it's cool to like go check out and like learn a little bit about the history.
100%.
Yeah, and then the food, and I'm gonna talk about the food every time. So we haven't talked about mochi or like
Oh my gosh.
matcha ice cream. Like in Japan last year, I think I gained like 13 pounds because like every meal you get ice cream. The Japanese take their sweets.
Hokkaido is also
very
known
seriously.
for their dairy, so there's great ice cream in Hokkaido. Obviously, like matcha is huge all over Japan. Like whether you're just drinking matcha or you're getting matcha flavored treats. Mochi. You want to explain what mochi is for people who don't know?
It's like a ball of heaven. It typically has like I like strawberry mochi or mango mochi, but it's like I think the outside is like a dough. It's not a red bean paste.
The outside is like a rice type.
They
dough,
do
I think.
like red bean paste is a popular flavor in Japan too. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but they make mochi
It's
ice
like
cream.
an ice cream ball basically.
Yeah, they've got lots of variations of it. Sometimes you
I have some
get
in my
like
house right now.
strawberries inside the mochi with like cream, all kinds of different variations of the treats.
I ate some last night.
Dude, speaking of mochi and treats and snacks, we forgot to talk about the convenience stores, the bodegas.
Yeah,
that are
or
all over.
on the ski resort, they have vending machines that have hot coffee. We forgot to
Dude,
bring that
how
up.
could we forget that, dude?
When it's cold out there and you're like literally at the top of the chair, you hop off. It's like there's a vending machine and just get a hot coffee, warm your hands up.
They got hot like soups in cans you can
Corn
get as
drink.
well, corn drink, hot coffees, hot teas, and then the cold drinks as well, and sodas, iced coffees, and the vending machines are all over, not just in the mountains. Like you'll find them in random alleys.
Yeah,
they're
sell
all
beer
over the city.
too, like
Sometimes beer vending machines. That's definitely a part of the experience of going. You gotta get some weird vending machine drinks and treats. But dude, the convenience stores like
7-Elevens everywhere.
7-Eleven, Seiko Mart, Lawson's.
Getting rice balls for snowboarding too. It's
Best
so
snack. And the food is actually like very high quality, which is interesting. Very, very big contrast from the States where you can get like legit meals. The rice balls are actually very delicious. They have all different variations of, whether it's like crab or salmon or chicken.
They also, in some of the snowboard shops in Tokyo, sell Board Archive helmets.
They do. I had someone send me a picture of the Board Archive Sandbox collab helmet in Tokyo, which we have right here. Still got a few of those left. If you guys are stoked on Japan, snowboarding in Japan, just want to support the channel, Sandbox blessed me with a signature model this year. So about a year and a half ago, they reached out. Bo and I brainstormed for a while and came up with the design and went with a black and gray variation of the Great Wave off Kanagawa, just as a tribute to snowboarding in Japan, and it turned out so good. I've been wearing this helmet, the Sandbox Classic 2.0, for over 10 years now, so big thank you to Sandbox for making that a reality. Shout out Max and the rest of the team over there, and those are available now if you're interested in picking one of those up too. Yeah, good. Might as well plug that,
Yeah, you You have a link?
Link in the description, of course. Yeah, everything, all of it, hoodies, helmet, the trip, our gear will all be linked down there.
Yeah.
So
cool. We
Yeah.
could literally talk about Japan for
Yeah.
5 hours.
We could.
I feel like we're leaving stuff out.
I know. I can't believe we almost left out the vending machines and the
Yeah.
and the Seiko marts. But
There's, I mean, if you just research like going to Japan, the things to check out, I mean, temples, the food, like there's just so many like unique cultural things that and like none of it's bad. It's like all refreshing. It's all like positive.
it's so good. It feels, there's a feeling being there, and I don't know. It's just it's something that I always crave and I miss as soon as I leave, and I look forward to every year to go back and,
Yeah.
and hope to be able to run it back every year. And I'm sure the trip we're running is going to be amazing, and something that I hope to incorporate into the channel moving forward each year. So whether you're joining us this year or you're watching this a year after this is uploaded and you want to come join us, I hope you do. We're going to try to provide a very meaningful, memorable experience. And if you're going to Japan for a week or 10 days or however long you decide to go, I think hopefully with the conversation we had, you can see that there's so much to do that you'll just be overflowed with new experiences in that week, and every single moment is something to look forward to, something enjoyable and something memorable going down. So it's one of my favorite places in the world, and just I'm grateful to be able to spend time there, and looking forward to getting up there this season and riding some powder with good friends, and looking forward to meeting some of you guys out there this year as well. Anything else you think before we wrap this thing up?
If you're debating going, just do it. It will be worth it. I promise.
I agree. Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It's cool to do this format. This is a little bit different for the channel, but something I'd like to do more often. So if there's any other topics that you guys would like us to riff on, or if, let us know what you think about this format and this type of video. It's fun just kind of hanging out, having a more candid conversation. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some value, and kind of I hope that we were able to paint a picture of like what that experience in Japan might be like. And I hope you guys are having a great season as well. Thank you for watching. Go check out Bo and my Instagram down in the description below. If you want to move to Colorado, Bo's your guy.
I got you.
And lots to come this season. So I appreciate all of you guys, and we'll see anyone next time.
Yeah, and I'll say if you have any like specific questions about getting to Japan or anything like that, hit me up. Find my Instagram below. Shoot me a message.
Likewise.
It's flying to Tokyo, flying to Sapporo, getting to Niseko, or wherever you want to go. We've probably done it, and I can help you out.
Yep. All right, guys. Appreciate you. See you next time.
Peace.